Almost everyone's under mind control. All these MAGA people are massively under mind control. And they're cheering on all this tariff stuff, which all it really does is steal from people in the U.S. But then Trump goes and with all these other countries does deals. Hey, we'll give you a break on not stealing a bunch of the money from people in the U.S. on your products, which makes it more expensive for them, which hurts your business if you put in the B system, all the electronic ID and all that kind of stuff. And they're doing it everywhere. They're doing it here in Mexico.
We will finally complete the biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. In my administration, we will ensure that this system is in place. And I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system.
The main purpose of opening the borders was to create chaos so that order in the form of a digital ID system would be tolerated. In order for a biometric border system to work, everyone will obviously need to be in the system. And the Trump administration is using tariffs to compel foreign nations to comply. After returning from this trip, U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem said that she met with Mexican President Sheinbaum about sharing biometric data in exchange for ending tariffs.
Do you think the Mexican president, you talked to her, is doing enough to defeat the cartels down there?
You know, we talked extensively about that. I gave her some options of more she could do. And I asked her specifically to share biometric information with us. And she's willing to discuss that, even though that in her country would be a little bit controversial. But she's putting a good faith effort. But President Trump is clear. He doesn't want people to keep talking. He wants to see action.
As a result of this, several laws went into effect last week in Mexico that will require the CURP, Mexico's 18-character version of the U.S. Social Security number, to include a QR code containing biometric data of both fingerprints and retinal scans. These new digital IDs will be monitored by the new Unified Identity Platform Agency, and biometric data will be shared with both Mexican and U.S. government agencies. The new biometric CURP will be legally required to purchase internet and mobile service, and changes to Mexico's telecommunications law will force internet service providers to share users' real-time geolocation data with Mexican authorities, allowing them the ability to shut down service and block digital platforms for failing to comply with regulatory provision.
This is Amos 8 and 11. Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh Bashem Yahshai power, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Kahala Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Bashem Rukokodash, which are the true Hebrew names of the Most High Father, Yahweh, which is Hebrew for He is, and the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, whose true Hebrew name is Yahweh Shai, which is Hebrew for He is salvation. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, who the house of David reborn again in this generation. And shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today were known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the topic that's been hitting the internet this week. And as you can see here on Google's search history, these are the top stories for today, right? And it basically shows you from New York Magazine. It says age verification is coming to the whole internet. It says the 10 biggest sites you didn't realize are impacted by age verification and how each will verify your age. And it goes into Spotify, all these things, right? Twitter or X, YouTube, and all these sites like Facebook and things. And let's see what else it says. From face scans to credit checks, how UK age verification works and why it's a privacy nightmare. A privacy trade-off. Privacy experts slam new UK age verification checks. And it says, ready or not, age verification is rolling out across the internet. And that's from The Verge. Age verification law sent VPN use soaring and threatened the open internet. And that kind of, it's a oxymoron, because you see VPN, people believe that it's secure, but really what it is, it's being found out that the majority of these VPNs, like 90% of them, are all basically going through Israeli or Amalekite servers, and they ultimately spy on all that stuff. BBC News says Online Safety Act, which sites will require UK age verification, pretty much all the big ones, and goes here, says what to know about online verification laws. And so basically what we're seeing is it's actually already rolling out, right? This is supposed to go into effect on August 13th. That's in about 9 days, but as was posted here on Reddit, people are already showing that online games are already requiring you to verify by uploading an official ID or photo to continue. This right here is GTA Online. Okay, so to show you this is coming. And why is this coming? Well, in like the video I showed you in the beginning, right? These devils, these Edomites, and when I say Edomites, I'm talking about the Caucasian and Israeli race. That's their true biblical identity. They here in America, through Trump's, political maneuvering, which was pushed as a tariff push to punish these other countries who have been making all this, ill-gotten profits off of Americans, which really tariffs don't even work that way, man. This is something that the American citizen has to pay, right? Now, yes, it could ultimately affect, international importers by, people not choosing their products, right? Because there's a tariff on them. But ultimately, as we're seeing, the true reasoning behind these harsh tariffs on all these international countries was not to have them lower their own tariffs, but to be able to offer these countries a lower tariff rate if they started to initiate or implement, I should say, a biometric identification system. Okay, and as we've seen in that video, there's a lot of countries who want to get that lower tariff import fee, like Mexico, who is one of the biggest traders with America, right? Tells you this, says Mexico makes biometric identifier mandatory for all citizens. Mexico has officially introduced a digital identification system by signing a law that turned the previously optional, right? That's keyword, previously optional biometric-based citizen code into a mandatory document for all citizens. Last month, legislators approved amendments to a law related to the 18-character personal identifier known as the Unique Population Registry Code, right? CORP. It says, with the change formalized on Wednesday through a decree. You see, these devils, right? This is why they got that Scheibom bitch into the president's thing, man. She's a little small hat, right? An Edomite, and there's a reason why they killed off. It was like 32, presidential elections, and over 72 unofficially. They assassinated these people because they needed to get this devil into the office so that way she could be there to turn the switch when this law was going to be implemented. Now, what else? UK, they're introducing something known as the BRIC card, digital ID, which is going to curb, in their case, it's going to curb migration, but also it's going to be a way for you to identify yourself online. It says, Labour is exploring new national universal digital IDs for every adult in the UK to tackle illegal migration. You see, these devils, the way they work is they create the problem, and then they offer the solution, right? The solution to something that nobody ever wanted, right? This is how they get their laws in through gradual means, okay? And they make the people clamor for it, right? This is why they purposely did not persecute these the immigrants that were purposely led into the country over there in UK. This is why you hear all these horrible stories about rape and, assault and all these things, and the police don't do anything about it because it's part of an agenda. The ID is being tentatively branded as BritCard and could be downloaded onto a smartphone in the shape of a free verifier app. So, right, remember the passport apps and the trace apps and stuff, right? Those were that was Esau's basically test run, and now he's actually implementing it. Okay, and it kind of goes on and explains how they need this to make the streets safe over there in London. But again, what does the Bible tell us? This is 2 Corinthians 2:11. Least Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. And that's ultimately what these devils on earth have done. And these devils I'm talking about are the Edomites that are in power and rule the world secretly, though they try to put up minorities in places of power and they try to run things from the background. We all know it's these Edomites, the Caucasian and Israelis that run everything, right? And it's being put out on grand view that these small hatters, these Amalekites, which are Amalekites would be the top tribe of the nation of Edom. This is why they rule everything, even their brethren. They've been put out on Front Street, man, so that way everybody could see just how much control they have over the entire world, not just here in America. But again, these verifications, were bound to be here. And why is that? Well, because right now these Edomites are being revealed. I've been pretty surprised over these last 3 months. I've been seeing Christians on X actually come out and start posting about Edomites. Okay, now they ultimately think that the Amalekite Edomites, the so-called Israelis, they think they're the only Edomites, but they don't realize that Edomites are mixed in with all the nations of the world. Okay, but predominantly they're going to be found within the Caucasian and Israeli race. Okay, just like you find the nation of Israel, the Israelites, predominantly within the Negro, Latino, Native American races, right? But again, we're going to be scattered throughout all nations. So just like us Israelites scattered throughout all the nations, as it tells us in Revelation 7, these Edomites have also scattered into all the nations of the world in an attempt to hide themselves. But what's ultimately happening? Well, the Lord is starting to reveal them for who they are, right? These are the psychopaths, the crazy devils that rule the world, who have destroyed it, and who are currently right now implementing anti-hate speech laws in an effort to stop themselves from being identified and have their atrocities, called out. They're the ones here implementing this online verification. And again, like I read in the beginning, these online verifications will ultimately lead to the famine of the word of the Bible. Why? Well, because again, when they start to implement, because again, right now it's a self verification, and or if the AI detection system on YouTube primarily, if it believes you're under 18 through some sort of criteria or whatnot, it's going to then require you to verify yourself before you could do things or watch age-restricted videos. And then pretty soon they're gonna expand that. We all know how Esau works, right? They work through gradualism. They're gonna expand the age verification to basically an account verification, right? If you are caught, saying things that these devils don't want you to say, right? You have too many warnings, community violation warnings, then they're going to require this ID. And again, this is where Esau is going to try to get you. And at that point, us Israelites, we're not going to verify our accounts, because that's how these devils are going to try to track us down, right? But again, we'll ultimately move over to different sites like Rumble, X, even personal sites. But we'll work on getting this message out as long as it is possible to do so in a safe manner, right? And then when that's done, we'll still be out on the streets and the highways and byways, right, out there teaching the people. So this is why it is important that you start getting this information, you start saving these videos, right? You start following the alternative channels that we have. Like I myself have 5 different channels in case they cut some of these channels off. This is Matthew 5:11. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. And that's why this is ultimately coming down. It isn't because like these devils, right? Because the whole impetus that they're trying to claim is the reason behind this age verification is because what was it? There was a pornographic video games, right? Where it's one of those bullshit anime games where like the character is naked or some bullshit like that. Well, some activist group, and basically it was more likely an Amalekite group, ready to trigger this whole thing, went to the Visa payment processors and basically lobbied them or protested to them to have them stop funding these pornographic games. And again, these fucking coomers, man, who are fucking into that shit, right? They're the ones going after this bait, right? But the point being is that this is the thing that mainstream media is saying is the reason why they're going to do this age verification, because ultimately that law that got upheld by the Supreme Court, I think it happened in Texas, I believe. But now this age verification is now going to be required because how the Supreme Court upheld that requirement that people who can see or who want to download inappropriate content, pornography games, all this type of stuff, right? Or anything that requires you to be over a certain age, they now want you to be verified through a verification system where you have an ID that you provide, okay? And again, I just showed you some examples of this going on around the world because they're bringing it through an age verification system. They're bringing it through a digital ID system. Here in America, just last week, the White House, DJT, signed the crypto. It says, the President Donald Trump is strengthening American leadership in digital financial technology, right? This is, they just passed the, what was this? It's not the Genius Act. It's something else. It's like the crypto. It's basically here, the Crypto Capital it's a Crypto Capital Act or some shit, right? It says strengthening American leadership in digital financial technology. Well, to do that, what do you need? If you're going to have a digital economy, what do you need? You need, right, like it tells you here, a regulatory framework. And what does that regulatory framework require? Well, let's see if we can find it here. Ultimately, it's going to require a digital ID. I don't know if it's going to... Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. But yeah, a digital ID is going to be required. A digital ID that is tied to your system. So just like in Mexico, how they are now tying that digital or that biometric ID to a citizen number, these devils are planning on doing the same thing here, right? But again, they're doing it in a slow, gradual, progress. Okay, and again, this is all being done because why? Well, what do the scriptures say? This is Revelations 13:16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. That's where 666 comes from, right? But again, the point here is where it says, he causeth all, right? To do what? To receive a mark. And what is this mark? Well, as the apostles have taught us, and which is very clear, if you're not bought out, it is those implantable RFID chips that they want to put into your hands or into your forehead using the Neuralink or other brain chips that these companies provide. And why is that? Well, because again, through this digital ID, through the digital currency, through the digital framework that they are currently setting up around the world, and they're implementing it through that tariff scheme, right? This is how they're forcing all these other countries to do it. And I wouldn't doubt that's why India refused to work with America, and why America slapped India with that 25% tariff, and why India ultimately sided with Russia after that went down, right? Is because India more likely wasn't ready to do biometric IDing, right? They've already moved everybody to a digital rupee system, but they probably weren't ready to do a digital ID yet. But the point being is that these devils, they're ultimately going to implement this mark of the beast, which means that digital ID, that digital money, that digital social credit score is all going to go onto a chip, and then eventually it's going to be made mandatory, all right? Where if you want to participate in society, then you will have to get that chip implanted into you, so it could be a qualifying biometric ID, right? They're not going to take fingerprints. They're not going to take iris scans. These devils want to, they're going to come up with some bullshit excuse. They might even create some false flag, right? Where people are stealing thumbs or eyeballs, like in that movie Minority Report, just so that way they could show that people are gaming the system, getting around these biometric age verifications or digital ID verifications, right? And then they're going to say, well, you know what? We got to stop the fraud, and we got to get these chips implanted into us so that way everybody's safe and protected, okay? And they're going to use catchphrases like nobody's safe to everybody's safe, and all these things that these devils like to use, all these magical chants that they like to get the entire citizenry of the world wrapped up in, man. And why is that? Well, that's because these are the devils that run the world. This is the last heathen nation that is going to have their empire here on earth, and it is coming to an end. Right now, we're currently living through the downfall of the last heathen nation on earth, and because of that, these devils, these Edomite devils that currently rule the world secretly, they right now are crashing out, and they're doing everything they can to maintain power, and that includes microchipping the cattle. This is Isaiah 55:6. Seek ye Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near. And that's what these videos represent, from the apostles teaching their lessons, the elders, brothers like me and other Akim out there, you Akim out there, going to these different social media sites, posting images, reposting these videos, making comments. We're all seeking the Lord, and we're coming closer to Him. But really, this is us imploring those who aren't doing the work, who aren't seeking the Lord, to do it now while the Lord is near, right? While we're making these videos, while you're able to get this information, get that wisdom, and start to understand what pleases the Lord, so that way when the time comes, you'll be able to stand in front of Him, knowing what to do. So either way, Akim, as we can see, these prophecies are playing out in front of us. These devils, they're getting scared, and they're starting to implement their agenda more and more every day. So again, with all that, we got to be vigilant, keep learning, stay out of these devils' schemes, and again, just meditate on the scriptures, keep the law to the best of our ability, and understand that the Lord is fighting for our side. So with all that, let's give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, B'Shem Yahushai, B'Shem Ruach HaKodesh. Shalom.